Hello, BookTube. I've got some trends I want to point out in last week in BookTube. We'll start and we'll finish with trends. But for those of you who are new to the channel, this is a weekly segment where I look back at the week of BookTube viewing that I watched. It's my entertainment, it's my joy to watch, and point out some of the highlights and some of the things I found interesting or innovative in that week. By no means meant to be comprehensive. I'm sure I missed a lot. BookTube is growing by leaps and bounds every single week. There's no possible way that anyone could watch it all, even me. I do precious little else. But the trend that I wanted to start with, there were a couple. There's of course Victober, where a bunch of the brainiest booktubers are celebrating Victorian fiction throughout the entire month. I very much wanted to participate, but it kind of seemed like by invitation only. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. I would definitely have expanded it, because I wouldn't have talked about Victorian fiction at all. I would have talked about the vast ocean of absolutely incredible Victorian nonfiction that doesn't appear to be getting touched on Victober. Maybe next year. The other trend from last week in BookTube that was just all over the place was Halloween themed videos. I'm gathering from what I'm watching that Halloween and the autumn are popular like gangbusters with booktubers. I think I can probably understand why, right? In some parts of the world still, the autumn means a growing chill and a more hours of darkness, more aesthetically pleasing backdrop for reading. Of course, this isn't true in New England anymore. In late autumn, a couple of months from now, the nighttime temperatures may plummet as low as the low 70s, but we don't have seasons here anymore. We don't have rain and we don't have seasons. It's just summer all the time. But some parts of the world maybe are still far enough northern latitudes so that that's not true, and if so, I envy you. I remember the autumn well. And there was another trend that I want to get to at the end. But first I want to talk about just the normal bits and pieces of stuff that struck me. Like, for instance, Conrad at 7 Days at Sea returned to BookTube yet again. Another video that showed why he's missed when he's not there. It was all over the place with writers and thoughts. I hope he stays. I hope we get 3 videos a week. And then there was a batch of reviews that I wanted to talk about. There were plenty of reviews. Oh my God, hundreds of them. But Julia Sapphire reviewed Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake, a YA novel that I have not read, but I loved her review of it. Britta Bohler started a new feature. She's constantly innovating on her channel. She started a new feature, 2-in-1 review, this one on a theme of the woman scorned. And I can't wait to see more of 2-in-1 reviews like that. What a great idea. FinalBlowJoe reviewed Joe Haldeman's The Forever War, and any mention, it was a great review, but any mention that Joe Haldeman can get on BookTube is fine by me. Military science fiction par excellence. No one has ever done it better than Joe Haldeman. Let's see here. Kathleen Ann reviewed All Our Names by Dinaw Mengestu, and I couldn't stand the book, but I loved the review. It was another perfect example of that. Where this is one of the great things about BookTube. Probably the greatest thing is that, aside from Jason Purcell's hair, the greatest thing about BookTube is that somebody will pop up in your feed with a video about a book or an author, and your first response will be, "Oh, that book. Oh, that author. No. Don't like them at all." But because you have built up a rapport with the person, you sort of cross your arms and you sit there and you listen, and it's thought-provoking. It's mind-opening, because here's a person who encountered this same book and found a whole bunch of different things, sometimes better things. I just love it. It's been an education for me. When it eventually comes time for me to do my 1-year retrospective, when I hit my 1-year anniversary on BookTube, I'm going to talk about all these things. But for now, that video was a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Knowledge Lost reviewed Dr. Zhivago, which I just reread in 2016, and I was impressed all over again. What a book. Oh my. What they put in the water over in Russia, I just don't know. And and Adam at Mementomori did a review of The Year of the Flood by Margaret Atwood. Now, I I am not a Margaret Atwood fan at all, and yet, even though I'm not a Margaret Atwood fan, there were moments in that woolly snark fest of a video when I almost felt sorry for her. I heartily recommend that you all go and see it, just so you have video proof that I'm not the only cranky old man on BookTube. uh, and then, aside from reviews, there were two or three things just in general that I wanted to point out. That I'll leave the links to all these things down below. Insert literary pun here. That a great BookTube channel. I go there every time she makes a video. I go there, and every time I go there, I expect to see 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 subscribers. I don't understand why that number isn't through the roof, but I'm sure that it will be. And she did a video on Russian literature TBR, and listed a whole bunch of, like I said, what they put in the water over in Russia, the incredibly masterly relationship between the Russians and great literature. I guess, but I watched her TBR of the stuff that she wants to read, and in the comments field, of course, Olive from A Book Olive is another BookTube Russian fan, a fan of all things Russian. She showed up in the comments, and I showed up in the comments, and the idea sort of half formed of maybe making a BookTube reading club for Russian literature of some sort. I would absolutely love that. But again, I would love to do more book clubs and read-alongs. I've done only one, and then I sort of signed up for another one, and I got hit with a blizzard of deadlines and I never could make it. But I want to try it again. I want to do a book club. Would be great. That would be a lot of fun, I think, if I could figure out a way to do it. And Russian lit, I plan on making a huge push on Russian literature in 2017. So the two things would align perfectly. We'll see what happens. But Molly de Montaigne, it's a new book channel that I've mentioned here before. She did a wonderful, rambly, spiky video on bookish frustrations. So it was really interesting. I'm sure that they're shared by a lot of you, so it's well worth their time to watch. And speak of the devil, Jason Purcell edited a book. He made a video in which he held up a book with his name on the cover. It's called 10 Canadian Writers in Context. It's from the University of Alberta Press, and he was one of the editors. And I tell you, I couldn't be prouder. I've been saying it for years now, and I'll repeat it again here. This guy is going to be the voice and face of CanLit, and his country's lucky to have him doing it. There's no more sensitive or intelligent reader of Canadian literature in the world today, and he's only getting better as time goes on. And I'm so happy that he now has a publishing credit, and it's not it's not a precious 15-page impressionistic short story about a windswept epiphany in the plains of Edmonton. Instead, it's actually getting in there and getting the word out of Canadian literature to other people, and that work leads to more work. I know that it will, and I'm so happy to see it. So many congratulations to Jason Purcell, and that sort of ends the general treats. Pretty much, you want to go out on a high note, and a booktuber as a book editor is about as high a note as it gets. And that brings me back to the second trend, another trend that I saw on BookTube last week, a trend that has me sort of itching to get involved. And that's, it actually has a name. It's called Project WriterTube. And that name goes hand in hand, although it's not always connected with, a blast of writer-connected videos that I saw last week. Ben Sanders has done a few. Cam at Wolfshot Publishing continues to do, in addition to other videos, he continues to make videos on different aspects of writing. Julian Greystoke and Dee Archer, it's a huge part of what they both do on their channels. Francina Simone, the mighty Francina Simone, is constantly making writing-themed videos. A booktuber named Mandi Lynne, same thing. And Also, Jesse the Reader did a very infectiously enthusiastic video on NaNoWriMo, on participating in NaNoWriMo this year. I will also be participating in NaNoWriMo this year, and I will be making a video about it. And you put all these things together, plus all the other videos on writing and WriterTube. I don't want to horn in on any projects that other people are doing for themselves. I don't want to appropriate any ideas, but I so much want to be a part of the writer tube of BookTube. That I'll be exploring them more in October, and I'm sure the writing videos are going to explode in November when NaNoWriMo is actually happening. So once again, I think last week I put out a call to the rest of you, if you leave comments, if you know of writing related channels, feel free to point me in their direction, because the creation of a huge writing community counterweight to BookTube is wonderful. That's a wonderful idea, and I'm on board with it. But anyway, that was last week in BookTube, and I'll try to remember again to leave all the links down below. So thank you, BookTube.